but you sit there like some sort of perv. How the hell am I going to pretty much double my back squat in the next 6 months? 5 rep max back squat is one of the events in the ATHX Games, which is great in theory if you currently back squat, which I don't. In this video, I'm going to explain why I don't back squat, where I currently am and what I am aiming to get to, and how I plan is the appropriate word, not necessarily will get to, but I plan to get to. So where am I right now? My back squat is pretty much non-existent at this moment in time. 2012, I could back squat 190 kilos for one solid rep, probably 160, 170 for a good set of 5. But I haven't really back squatted in the last 5 years. The last time I back squatted was about 6 years, maybe 2019. I haven't really squatted in the last few years, mainly because 2019 I played a game of rugby and I just compounded an old knee injury, which meant every time I did a back squat, it hurt. Don't get me wrong, don't misunderstand this with me saying I don't train my legs. I could lunge till the cows come home. I use the pendulum squat machine. I do a lot of split squats. So I do train my legs a lot, and in a lunge position, I would say I'm pretty strong, stronger than the average. But back squat, I do not. So I'm starting over in terms of the technique. I'm starting right from the beginning. I'm about a month into my training, and the first few weeks have been all about nailing the foundation. So I started with 80 kilos, and to be honest, it felt absolutely shit. I felt every rep was different. I couldn't get my groove. It was horrendous. But every time I did it, I felt a bit better. I felt more solid, felt really that things were starting to come together. So much so that last Monday, I got up to 120 for a set of 8, and it felt really good. However, that felt really good in my muscles, not my hip. The last couple of weeks, I've noticed that there's been a little bit of aggravation in my left hip. So it's not quite back to the drawing board, but I have been, up until today, working on squatting a couple of times a week. And I've acknowledged that that's probably a little bit too much for me at the minute. So I'm having to reduce the amount that I'm squatting. So today is my first lower body day in this new let's not hurt the hip but get better at the back squat training program. The plan, if it goes to plan, is my hip will be fine and the squat numbers will go up, working up to a heavy set of 5. If I hit the heavy set of 5 and it feels good, then I'm just going to add a bit more weight next time and just keep going and doing that. So there's nothing fancy in the technique in the program, but the main thing now for the next few months is getting up to a point where the technique feels solid. When I get under that bar, I feel rock solid and I'm happy with how I'm performing the movement. Because my goal, might be a lofty goal, is 160 kilos for 5. I've said it now, so I'm holding myself accountable to it. 160 kilos for 5 is the goal. Can I get that? I'm not sure. When I started 4 weeks ago, I did 80 for 5 and I was all over the place. Last Monday, I did 120 for 8. That felt good, but my hip hurts. 120 to 160 doesn't sound that far, but when 160 for 5 reps is probably very close to a lifetime best, and when you were at your best squatting was nearly 15 years ago, it might be a stretch, but we'll have fun trying. Right, this time I better get into the gym and actually do some squatting. Let's go. Lower body done. I went into the gym and somebody, well, two people were using both squat racks. So that meant I couldn't start with the squats. I had to start with walking lunges. Just as I was about to do my first set of walking lunges, somebody finished on the squat rack. I was like, shall I go on today? I was like, no, you committed to this. So let's do it. Hit the walking lunges first. Life doesn't always go to plan. The squats were supposed to be first, but rather than wait, I thought I'd just crack on with it and get it done. Did it affect my training? Do you know what? Actually, my legs were nice and warm for the squats beforehand, but I was pretty knackered throughout the whole session. Walking lunges, a little bit of a niggle in my hips, but they felt really strong. You know, I could lift more than I am doing at the minute. Walking lunges are something that I've done since about 2005 maybe, and they've been a staple of my training ever since. I love walking lunges. So I start with the walking lunges, then I hit the back squats. The back squats were meh at best. It was a question of getting the work done, trying to refine the technique. It wasn't great today, I'll be totally honest. My hip was niggling just a little bit, not too much. I worked up to a set of 5 at 120, and like for muscularly, that's not a word, maybe it is. It felt easy on my muscles. The actual movement in itself just felt awkward on my back, on my shoulders, and my hips. It just felt awkward, and that's fine though, because I've got like 6 months to work on it. I'm not worried about it now. Then I had the RDLs. I've been working on those for the last year, and I've hit my PB today. That was the best I've ever lifted for a set of 6. So it's 165 kilos. I was really happy with that. It felt light. Well, no, it didn't feel light. It felt heavy, but it felt like it was moving really, really well. And then I finished off with a pendulum squat machine. It's a great bit of kit, and you'll see how hard I was working, right from the bottom all the way to the top of the movement. It sucks. It sucks big time. It's really great stimulus for the legs. So because my volume is quite low on the actual back squats themselves, just one set, which wasn't even that heavy, that's where I get the volume in my squatting movement. That's where I get the stimulus for the hypertrophy, the muscle building stimulus. That's where I get that from. I get that from the pendulum squat machine. Because as you saw, well, you'll only see one set, but the 2 sets that I did, they were hopefully took it to the limit. Maybe when I watch back over it, I might think otherwise, but it felt like I took it to the limit. Then I finished off with some hanging leg raises. The hanging leg raises are in there for strengthening the abs, but they are a great exercise, in my opinion, for helping strengthen up around the shoulders, and they have a good carryover to pull-ups, and pull-ups are another exercise which is in the ATHX Games, but that is for another day. If you found my rambling about training, about squats, interesting and valuable, I'd appreciate a like. I'd appreciate a subscribe. And if you've got anybody that you know might be interested in what I've got to say, please share it with them. But I think probably most importantly is comment, please. Please comment below. I want to hear about any questions that you might have about what I'm doing. If you're training for the ATHX Games, what are you training for? I want the comment section to be an open dialogue between me and anybody who's interested, because I do it. I sit there watching YouTube channels, and I've got in my mind, a good relationship with that person. But you sit there like some sort of perv, don't you? Just like looking in the background, just there, like, oh, what are they doing today? But you never engage. So I'm asking you to engage with with mine. So I better start engaging with other people's as well, because otherwise I'm just like a lurker, a perv, peeking round the corner.